let's talk about the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournaments. Obviously, I haven't had a chance to really talk about them in a video because I spent all of last week on vacation, but I was keeping a very close eye on the results and what was happening in those tournaments because I knew that I wanted to talk about them when I returned from vacation. And with both tournaments starting to dwindle down, we do know what the finals is going to start looking like. Now feels like the perfect opportunity to give my thoughts on both the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournaments. Because there have been some things that I have liked and some things that I maybe necessarily haven't liked. So, obviously, we're going to be talking about both the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournaments in this video, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts, and then I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are as well. But before we get too far ahead in the video, I want to say that if you are a WWE fan, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. That is all we post is WWE related content, so if you are a WWE fan, again, consider subscribing. It's free. You can always change your mind later. So let's start off by talking about the King of the Ring tournament, where we do know that Obafemi is in the finals and he will take on the winner of Javon Evans and Jey Uso. Now, my favorite thing from this year's King of the Ring tournament has been the kind of surprises that we have gotten throughout this tournament so far. Dominic Mysterio beating Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest. And I think the bigger surprise was Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins both being eliminated in the first round, where I think a lot of people had that possibly being one of the finals matches for this year's King of the Ring tournament. Because the story that WWE is telling between Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, and Seth Rollins being hellbent on trying to bring down the Vision, that story is obviously one of WWE's more major storylines, so it maybe necessarily wasn't a guarantee that we were going to get Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins in the finals here, but I think a lot of people had that as a very, very big possibility. Now, my one big issue with this year's King of the Ring tournament is the fact that it's been kind of predictable. I think when you took a look at the full bracket at the very beginning of the tournament, I feel like you could have kind of predicted Obafemi being in the finals, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, just saying it's a little bit predictable. But they've done it in a way that has made Obafemi look very, very good. The other kind of predictable thing has been Jey Uso, and I know a lot of people don't want to see Jey Uso beat Javon Evans, go up against Obafemi. I don't want to see it either. I don't want Jey Uso in this position. I don't want him being the King of the Ring. I don't want him taking on Obafemi. I would much rather see Javon Evans and Obafemi in the King of the Ring tournament because I think it would benefit either one more than having Jey Uso come in and possibly win. And look, we know that Oba and Javon can put on a fantastic match. We saw it time and time again in NXT, so we know that they have great chemistry together. We know that they work extremely well together. It's just a matter of if WWE is willing to put Javon Evans up against Obafemi, especially when the guy that he has to go through is Jey Uso. And let's be honest here, WWE's main storyline is the Bloodline, and they're going to want to push the Bloodline members the same way they did at the very beginning of the Bloodline storyline. And we're seeing Jey Uso in this position, I feel like, largely because he is in the Bloodline. Again, I don't want to see Jey Uso beat Javon here. I want Javon to win. I don't want to see Jey Uso going up against Obafemi. I don't want to see Jey in this position. Not that I have anything against him. It's just we've been there with Jey Uso, and it just hasn't worked. They tried everything to get Jey Uso to be main event Jey Uso, and it just didn't work. And it's getting to the point where now it's starting to feel like they're just shoving Jey Uso down our throats, and that is where you can sometimes completely ruin a guy's career. So on one hand, I did enjoy the surprises that we got in the King of the Ring tournament. I just wish that it was a little less predictable. And again, I'm not saying that it was a bad thing that it was semi-predictable, but again, seeing guys like Obafemi in the finals, which is a great thing, by the way, but knowing that Jey Uso made it this far into the tournament, and again, I just have that pit in my stomach that it feels like Jey Uso is going to defeat Javon Evans, and I don't want to see that. I think the bigger match and the match that I think would have the more significance is Javon versus Oba. Moving over to the Queen of the Ring tournament, which, in my opinion, I think has been okay. We know that Io Sky is on to the finals and she will await the winner of Liv Morgan and Charlotte Flair. Now, here's my big issue with this year's Queen of the Ring tournament. Liv Morgan should not be in it at all. Liv Morgan is your women's world champion right now. She should not be in this tournament at all. And what bothers me is the fact that WWE couldn't find an opponent for Liv Morgan and they just had to throw her in here last minute. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Liv Morgan to be in this tournament in the first place. Now, Charlotte Flair being in this position, sure, you can kind of count that as predictable, but I think the story that they're still trying to tell between Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss is Charlotte starting to go more on her own again. And maybe we end up getting an Alexa Bliss heel turn down the line. I think that's inevitably where we're going to go with that. And I feel like Charlotte being in this position, while sure it can be looked at as predictable, I think it does make sense because of the story that they're telling between her and Alexa Bliss. And when I take a look at the full bracket of the Queen of the Ring tournament this year, I take a look at some of the names that were eliminated, and those are all names that could have used a massive boost. And again, Io Sky doesn't necessarily need that boost. They just don't have anything for her. Liv Morgan doesn't necessarily need that boost either. Again, she's already women's world champion. She doesn't need a boost at all. Charlotte Flair, again, you can argue that she doesn't need the boost, and you're probably right, she doesn't. But again, the story that they're telling between her and Alexa, I think I'm okay with Charlotte being in this position. But having Liv in this tournament to begin with and one win away from being in the finals, I think is just a borderline joke to me. Io Sky being in the final, I'm okay with it because I enjoy Io Sky, but looking at some of the names that we could have had, and again, they're all names that could have used a big boost. It just doesn't really feel like WWE necessarily put the care and the effort into the Queen of the Ring tournament like they seemingly did with the King of the Ring tournament, where, again, we had some big surprises in there. We had Dominic Mysterio beating some big time names. So I just kind of would have enjoyed to see a little bit more of a surprise. And look, when we get into tournaments like this, everybody wants to cheer for the underdog. And in the women's side of things, with the Queen of the Ring tournament, I don't really feel like there's an underdog here. And I think in the King of the Ring side, the underdog is kind of Javon Evans. And I feel like that's why a lot of people want to see Javon Evans go on and take on Obafemi. So those are my thoughts about the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournaments. And this is where I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what your thoughts on this year's tournaments have been. Have you liked them? Have you not liked them? Let me know why you have or you haven't. Again, for me, I think the King of the Ring tournament has been pretty good. I think it's been better than the Queen of the Ring tournament. Again, I'm not saying that the Queen of the Ring tournament has been bad, but it's just been really predictable. And again, looking at some of the names that were eliminated early on, they were names that could have used a big boost. So as always, don't forget to leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. And while you're down there, swing by the description and click the Linktree link. That is the only link in the description for a reason. That is because it will take you to all of the social media platforms for this channel. I do strongly suggest going and checking out our X page. Besides YouTube, I am most active over on X. We do updates for Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and the PLEs. And we are also over on Instagram and TikTok as well. Over there, you can expect clips from these videos, and it's just another place for me to post when I do upload a video on here to YouTube. So if you do enjoy these videos and you're looking for some extra content, again, Linktree link in the description. It'll take you to wherever you want to go. So with all that said and done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Again, both are free. Both really help out the channel a lot. And of course, if you have made it to this point of the video, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch these videos here, because it genuinely does mean the world. And as always, stay tuned for more WWE content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.